Good morning. Chris Lee coming live to you from Birmingham, just outside of Hoover, where the SEC baseball tournament is being played. We're talking some SEC baseball this morning. Jay Greason is supposed to be joining me shortly. If you have not followed it so far, here's what happened yesterday in the SEC. We had Alabama knocking off Missouri, breaking open a tight game late. Tyler Fay was really good in that for the Crimson Tide. We had Oklahoma knocking off Kentucky after the Cats had won the regular season series. Alabama advances to play Tennessee today in a game scheduled for 9:30. That's not going to be at 9:30 now. That's probably going to be more like 1 o'clock because the third game last night, Florida and South Carolina, they got that one in, but they didn't get in the nightcap. Mississippi State and Texas A&M, that's getting pushed to the morning. So 9:30 in Hoover. We'll start with that one. Anyway, recapping yesterday. Again, Alabama beats Missouri, advances to play Tennessee in a game today that I think, as Jay Greason joins us. Good morning, sir.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Just recapping last night for the folks and getting into the games today. We've got first one up. And by the way, I did hit on Florida. They beat South Carolina. Looked really good doing that. I was in the ballpark for that. They were really hitting the ball. And then Mississippi State A&M, which I think is fascinating for a number of reasons this morning. So we've got three games today. We've got Alabama, Tennessee is your middle game. Mississippi State A&M leads us off, and then we get into Oklahoma and Georgia at the nightcap. So can't wait to get to the ballpark here in a bit and see some baseball today, Jay.
I think also one of the really fascinating things is some of the higher leverage pitching matchups today that we're going to get to see because the stakes have greatly increased. And waking up this morning, the two things as I was getting the kitchen ready to make French toast, the other thing I couldn't help but think is the added time built into this tournament. I know there's still some people screaming about the absence of double elimination, but the flexibility on what figures to be almost an annual weather occurrence is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how we feel about the tournament after it's over, but that is one thing that you've got a little less pressure to get games in because of the weather, because of some built-in time now on Thursday and Friday, because we're not playing 4 games those days. We're playing 2. So anyway, Jay Greason's getting breakfast ready. I'll get your schedule ready for the day. Again, games in the SEC today. We'll see Mississippi State, Texas A&M, followed by Alabama, Tennessee, and around 4:30, Oklahoma, Georgia, and then the nightcap, Florida and Ole Miss, a game that's got stakes on its own as Jay makes French toast in the background here. Do we have all the ingredients ready, sir?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, we're doing baseball and breakfast. It's how it should be in Hoover, Alabama.
Yeah, the problem is I haven't eaten breakfast, and I'm going to get hungry watching you do your thing, but that's all good.
Which of the three games today, Chris, has you most intrigued?
I think Alabama, Tennessee.
I agree.
I mean, they're all intriguing in their own way. You've got the morning game. It could be Michael Early's last game at A&M. Were they to lose? You know, if they were to win and they've got Weston Moss on the mound, who's not one of their starters, but he's good, you know, then this goes on a little longer and we'll see how it ends. And A&M has got the pitching to where it's capable of getting to the weekend. And if it gets to the weekend, maybe it can get into the NCAA tournament. And if it gets into the NCAA tournament, we might be having a different conversation. I think Mississippi State, that end of it is fascinating because State's been playing really well. So I'm just interested to see that game for itself. We talked about Alabama, Tennessee. You've got Marcus Phillips going for the Vols and Riley Quick going for Alabama. I think that can be a dandy of a game. Quick has been really pitching well. Phillips, if he holds runners on, I mean, he's pitched well. He defends well. I could see that one going either way. Alabama's not a team that runs a lot, but it picks its spots and is pretty good at it. When you throw balls away in Hoover, second base in a lot of parks becomes third down here because of all the foul territory. So watch for that. Andrew Fisher's going to have a good defensive day for the Vols. I think Oklahoma, Georgia's interesting. Do we know who Oklahoma's throwing today?
I don't, but as you look that up, I think your point about Tennessee defense and all the space in Hoover is unbelievably valid. And I'm also intrigued to see if Alabama's going to try to be somebody they're not, with all the success people have had trying to take an extra base from Marcus Phillips. Because, I mean, I know the Florida-South Carolina game got out of hand yesterday, but the rest of them really felt like one crooked number inning was going to be the difference because of the difficulty of getting the ball out of that spacious ballpark.
The top of Alabama's order will run a little bit. Justin LeBron, I think, hits in the 3-hole for them. I can't remember where Bonamalo's hitting these days, but LeBron's got 16 steals and Bonamalo's got 15. Bryce Fowler has got a dozen for them. So those are the three guys for the Crimson Tide who run.
All right, little update where we are. We are with about to beat 4 fresh eggs. We are going to get our pan good and hot. The concoction that we dunk them. The one thing I'll say, do not skimp on the bread you use for French toast. Don't think you can just go straight Wonder Bread, or go ahead and make a plan to have a good cut of bread, whether it's from a local bakery or just your favorite brand somewhere.
So you get like deli bread or something like that.
Yes, and today we're using American sourdough from a local bakery here in Chattanooga.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the family's personal favorites. But I know this is us trying something new and different. Cinnamon, vanilla extract, and a little nutmeg help bring out flavors. But I know a lot of people are also tuning into this for the SEC baseball, so I don't want to completely turn this into a sideshow, even though I'm standing here in a Grill Father apron. And as advised yesterday afternoon, I do have an undershirt on under the apron. I'm going the cooking version of Patrick Ewing with the undershirt.
Before we get back to baseball, and I promise you that's coming very quickly. Sourdough. I've never heard of that for French toast, but I like it.
Yeah, and another important thing I've learned in the process of, it's okay to have bread that may be a couple of days too old for a sandwich, because it helps in the soaking process.
Ah, okay. Nice. Let's see. A couple of things here. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Randy. We're asked, is Alabama, Tennessee for a hosting spot? I think maybe. I think if Alabama wins, the metrics are going to be probably too good to ignore. And I think, at that point, the season series will have been 2 apiece between Alabama and Tennessee. So if you want to say, well, Tennessee beat them in the regular season, throw out the numbers, Alabama would have that. I think if Tennessee gets one, it'll be 3-1 against Alabama. So you put them in, the head-to-head comparison. If it becomes that for a spot, then Tennessee might be the team. And that's just me thinking out loud. I don't know what the committee is going to do. I think the other one to watch is Ole Miss, because I think you might have a 3-team conversation there between Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee. But I don't know how the committee is going to see it.
I don't. I kind of – you talked me into a little bit, because my initial reaction was yes, the winner here gets to host, primarily because you think there's going to be 8 SEC teams hosting. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for the way Tennessee faded down the stretch to just win this one. I think it's a dunk if Alabama wins, that they'll open in Tuscaloosa. But I do think the loser of this game is going to really have to hold their breath about being a undoubtedly scary 2 seed.
Yeah, for Tennessee, it beat Alabama head-to-head in both series, both on the road. The problem is that Tennessee lost 6 of its last 7 series, the only one that it won being that one at Ole Miss. Now, it never got swept, as many people have pointed out, and I think that's valid too. So I'm trying to look around the country at scores to watch today, because what other people do is going to have bearing on this, not just for hosting, but, now that Kentucky got beat, people have questions. Is Kentucky a tournament about, I don't know, 5 or 6 spots off the cut line? Might have moved down a little bit yesterday. Miami was in that same range. Miami got clobbered by a bad Cal team. So there was that. But I think today, let me look around conference tournaments, and that'll pull up Warren Nolan's scoreboard to see what we've got here, because I think there's some games, other places that you want to watch if you're a Kentucky fan, and I think there's some other hosting discussions that you want to take a look at. We got Virginia and Boston College today. Virginia, kind of a fringe team for the tournament, I think would be in right now, but kind of in that Kentucky territory. So if you're rooting for Kentucky, you are probably wanting Boston College to beat Virginia today. Some of the other things, if Virginia Tech gets on a run, which it beat Stanford, they might be good enough to win the whole thing. I don't think they're in at-large right now, but that's a team that might be good enough to play its way in. Let's see. We do have a couple bids decided already. Columbia from the Ivy is your winner, and Holy Cross from the Patriot. Those have both gotten automatic bids so far. I don't think there's any more automatic bids coming for a day or two, but I'll double check that.
We got a good question, and one we kind of tossed around last night before we went way off the rails in Baseball After Dark. But Corey Ward asking, it's by all indication that Hunter Elliott's getting the ball today on 6 days rest, Corey, and I think that's a wise play.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's going to see Liam Peterson.
Yeah, and 6 days is not. I mean, it's not turning a college kid around in 3 or 4 days rest. I mean, 6 days is frequently right there in line with how they throw anyway.
Yeah, I want to see. Still looking to see who Oklahoma pitches today. So if Jim in Arlington is in here, drop in, let us know. Might check. Well, see if that's on Twitter anywhere. If you've got that, let us know. A lot of moving parts around here. Some other games I would keep an eye on today.
Not trying to make you hungry, Chris, but that's where we are with the process.
Oh my!
A little bit of butter as the pan's getting good and hot, and but we're almost there. Sadly, I don't eat bread, so I'm making this for the rest of the Greason household, not for myself.
Is that on principle now?
It's on principle and diet. It just you go without something like that, and you don't really miss it anymore. And I imagine even if I did eat it, it'd tear me up.
See, I couldn't give that up. Trace asked where Miami stands after losing to Cal. I had Miami yesterday, and I think the cut line is team 44 right now, which is Western Kentucky. Although I should have had Oklahoma State in there instead. I think D1 does, and I've given that a second look. They might be right there. Although they probably have to do some work in the Big 12 tournament. Yesterday I had Kentucky 38. I had Connecticut 39, Virginia 40, Kansas State 41, Notre Dame 42, Troy 43, and Western Kentucky 44 is how I had it ordered. and I had Kentucky 38. So I still had Kentucky needing to fall a bit from there. Let's see what RPI is this morning for the Cats and for Miami for that matter, because that will tell us a little bit. Apologies, my internet is slow here at the hotel. Anyway, we'll get there eventually. Sam says you seem like a rare steak guy, Jay.
Rare steak, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there was a time in my life you just knock its horns off and wipe its dirty little nose and just bring it on out. But I like it a little bit more. If it's medium, it's too cooked for me. I'm between the rare and medium rare guy.
Okay. Let's see. Roger with the 99 super sticker.
A fellow fan of cooking everything. Roger, you probably had a really good cook who was a grandmother or your mother. My grandmother was an amazing Southern cook. And it's one of the reasons why I was a really fat child. It was all biscuits and fried chicken, and everything was either in bacon grease or butter, and then never the twain shall meet.
I like your style.
So
I don't like the fact that I can't get RPI.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say my computer's having trouble. I don't know if Warren Nolan is just getting overloaded this morning or if it's the speed of my connection, but either way, would be nice to have. And meanwhile, if you can find Oklahoma starting pitcher, let us know that in the chat.
One of the hallmarks of good French toast, and somebody put in the chat that they saw somebody use melted ice cream as their batter, which sounds just, one, unbelievably creative, and two, downright delicious. A couple things that I try to do. One, make certain you're dipping while you're cooking so you can get as many served as together as possible. You don't want to be the guy who's serving breakfast in rounds. And the other one, good French toast done properly does not need syrup. Now, if you want to put syrup on it, it's fine. But if you're doing it properly, you can serve it without syrup and be completely comfortable. Just a little, Roger, you and me, buddy, just a little that more butter, and never the twain shall meet.
No syrup. That's a new one. Well,
I mean, you can. You would be able to eat it. Sam says, sounds like diabetes. Well, there's some of that.
Okay, got an answer to my question here. Kentucky dropped from 36 to 37 in the RPI. Miami dropped from 31 to 36. So losing yesterday hurt Cal more than it hurt, or hurt Miami more than it hurt Kentucky. Other conference tournaments games I would keep an eye on today. You wouldn't really think it, but the Big East tournament is probably going to be a big deal. That's a 4-team tournament. St. John's and Creighton go this afternoon. Xavier and Connecticut go in the nightcap. Everybody but St. John's is in contention for an at-large. I think Connecticut probably in the best shape of any of those teams, but keep an eye on that one. Let's see what else have we got. We've got the Big Ten, which has pool play, which I cannot stand because I never know who is advancing and who's not till they tell me. You've got Michigan got beat last night. Michigan's kind of a very fringe at-large candidate. Not a lot of really good wins there. Illinois beat Michigan last night. So that was notable. And I think we've got a bunch of games today. UCLA plays today against Illinois, which I think UCLA just swept. No, that was Northwestern. But that's notable because if UCLA takes on a loss here, that could cost UCLA in the hosting discussion. Nothing else of note. You might keep an eye on Iowa just in case. I don't think Iowa's going to get an at-large without winning this thing, but you don't know how the committee thinks. The Big West, you got Irvine has got a game tomorrow. You got UCSB and Hawaii today. Hawaii and UCSB are fringe bubble teams. I don't think they could get in without a win. I mean, way off the grid, but just saying. Irvine is probably the team you want to win if you are trying to get, well, Irvine's not going to slip to bubble. I think if you're SEC and one of a bunch of teams that wants to host, I think you want Irvine to lose because I think that's one of the teams that's got a shot, but they don't play till tomorrow. Conference USA, I guess nothing of note other than, well, no, there are a couple of things. Western Kentucky, I think, is an at-large team, but it is about as on the bubble as you can get. It's going to depend on what the committee likes. Western won a lot of games, and when it played good teams, won a decent amount of those, but I think it had 31 quad 4 wins. So that's going to get looked at pretty heavily. Western plays New Mexico State at 2:30 today, so keep an eye on that. I'm not sure if that is Central or Eastern. And in Liberty and Dallas Baptist, I think if it wins the tournament in Lynchburg, it's got a shot since it won the regular season and has decent metrics to host a regional. The Horizon, really nothing of note there. I think Wright State probably wins that event, but we got a long way to go. What else is of note? Most of these mid-majors I don't think are going to have ramifications. The winner's going to get in. Nobody else is. Let's see. Southern Conference could be interesting if East Tennessee State maybe gets to the final and loses. It's got a case for an at-large. So if someone else wins, then look out for that. Southland is settled. Or I'm sorry, Southland is not settled. That's going to be between New Orleans and Houston Christian starting tomorrow. So nobody expected either of those teams to make the tournament. That's a bit steal, though it may be from its own league. And we've got the Sun Belt today. I think Troy probably needs to beat Old Dominion. It's got a decent resume, but it's very, very borderline.
Hold on.
Southern Miss. Watch out for Southern Miss in Texas State because a lot of people think Southern Miss is pushing to host. I don't necessarily see it yet. I don't know that Southern Miss has done quite enough, but that's not going to be my decision, and they are certainly in the conversation.
And the finished product, my man.
Oh, my. Is that the butter dripping off the plate?
It is. Roger and I are kindred cooking spirits. And Roger was 100%. I have not burned the house down, Sam. We've got a super sensitive smoke detector, and I can't turn the fan on because we're trying to have conversations here.
Right. How do you make that without eating it?
Oh, it's not hard anymore.
Okay. When did this all start?
I don't know. Been probably a couple years.
Yeah.
And my son is now the beneficiary. Just finished his junior year in high school here on Signal Mountain, and he's a beneficiary before he and his mom go for a walk of a less than healthy French toast extravaganza.
So we're out of school in Chattanooga.
Yeah. School wrapped up this week.
We're out Friday. Let's see. What baseball stuff do you want to discuss here?
Well, I mean, I think you touched on it. The desperation. I mean, I think we both think Mississippi State's in, right?
Oh, yes.
And the desperation and in turn devotion that the Aggies will have in terms of are they playing for Early's job is story number one and game number one. And as a betting guy with in-game betting, if the lug nuts start to fall off in that game, you're talking about something that could be just a runaway for Mississippi State. You know it?
Yeah.
But I honestly think the game of the day, well, there's two of them. It's the second game in the morning session and the second game in the evening session. Florida Ole Miss is a Friday night pitching matchup, and Alabama Tennessee would be a normal Saturday pitching matchup with a whole lot on the line in terms of where you're going to play your first opportunity in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think they're all interesting. I think that the fact that Georgia-Oklahoma is maybe the least interesting game, it just tells you something. I still would like to know.
That's completely fair.
And it has nothing to do with the teams, right? It's just I think Georgia is going to be a top 8 seed, I think. Now, lose this one, and it could get a little interesting depending on what other teams do. Oklahoma, I think, is going to be a 2 regardless. But the others, again, you got coaching implications in game 1. You got hosting implications in game 2, and I think hosting implications in game 4. And, I mean, for a Wednesday on the SEC tournament, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that.
No, I don't either. And it's been a pretty common refrain over the last week to 10 days of this season when we've gotten together, Chris. It's the magnitude of the league's magnificence. I mean, when this many teams are still strong arming to be in the top 16 in the national conversation, it's just really, really, really impressive.
All right, let's go by these one by one today. Mississippi State and A&M. We already know that A&M is throwing Caden Wilson. I can't remember who was State. Oh, State was going with. Let me pull it up. Ryan McPherson, I think, who had a really nice season, 3.03 ERA, 37 2/3 innings. Has a little problem with the home run ball, but Hoover's the place if you need a little help with that. So I think that's interesting. Game 2, we've got Riley Quick and Marcus Phillips in a tremendous pitching matchup of 2 guys you could see in big league rotations one day. Oklahoma, Georgia. I'm going to Twitter search Kyson Witherspoon and see if that pops up for a starting pitcher.
That would feel, and Roger, I do agree with you. Today will be a good baseball day. And we said it last night. Yesterday was not so good baseball day. I mean, the teams you expected to win won and won comfortably, and the teams that were ready to pack the gear did that too. So, but I do think.
Okay, Olivia Sayer, who's on the Georgia beat, says Georgia will likely see Kyson Witherspoon on Wednesday. And Travis Davidson, who's a radio host in Norman, also says Kyson Witherspoon tomorrow against Georgia. So if that's right, then you'll see Witherspoon. And I don't know. Yeah, Eddie Radisevich, who's a name in that market, also tweeted yesterday. Kyson Witherspoon expected to start. So they played 3 times in the season, and Oklahoma won one of those games, and it was the Kyson Witherspoon start. And I wonder if Georgia's going to go Brian Curley. I would think maybe not. It feels like a Colton Smith day to me. Yeah, not seeing anything here, but I think we lost Jay. So we'll have that. That'll be a good matchup, the Witherspoon end. Winner of that one gets Vandy tomorrow. Winner of Alabama, Tennessee gets Texas tomorrow. Winner of A&M and Mississippi State gets Auburn as Jay's back. And then the Auburn game now, that game is pushed back. Well, let's see. No, that game will still be Friday, right?
Yes, that is.
No, wait a minute. Wait, yeah, Auburn was going to play the nightcap. That was the fourth game of the day, but I guess that'll get pushed to Thursday morning. And yeah, so we'll just have 3 games on Thursday. And then things should be back on schedule by Friday. Assuming no more rain, which I don't think we're going to get today. So, yeah. And then in the nightcap, we get Liam Peterson and Hunter Elliott, which I think will be a tremendous matchup. I think Elliott will play pretty well to that park. He just doesn't give you much to hit. A little wild, but it's effective. And Peterson is a super, super talented arm.
Yes. And I think a big factor, you mentioned it earlier, the Mississippi State guys had trouble with the home run ball, but man, with the possible exception of Yellowstone, there's no better park to pitch in if you're being plagued by long ball.
Yeah. Peterson Elliott's intriguing. I think to me, the Florida discussion, we've talked about Florida hosting. I think lose today, that's over. Win today, it's probably on the table. Because let's say you do that, you beat Arkansas tomorrow, and then you get, LSU or Auburn potentially, could be Mississippi State, could be A&M. Like the resume's gotten pretty loud by that point. And the RPI I would think would be inside the top 10. What else is for breakfast?
Well, I'm going to make myself eggs because that's my daily ritual and go accordingly because, like you, I just got hungry making that stuff for the rest of my family. But I'll be real interested to see how the boys back at the mothership treat our outside the box thoughts on baseball and breakfast this morning.
Right. This is a first. Okay, this is interesting. I'm checking KPI this morning, which is the resume. Alabama yesterday didn't fall in the RPI. It was 9 before, and it stayed at 9, but it did fall from 12 to 14 in KPI just by playing Missouri. So that hurts a little bit. Now, beat Tennessee today, you probably get those spots back.
Yes. And both, maybe not as much in number as you would have at one time, but certainly in terms of perception. And you referenced a good point in regards to Alabama and Tennessee. That Alabama win would, as you said, move them even with Tennessee on the season, which also helps their resume and conversation.
Yeah. I think Alabama at that point is hard to keep out.
I agree with that. I mean,
okay, you lose to Texas. Okay, great. Just about everyone lost to Texas.
And they lost an emotional series at Auburn, which, I mean, Auburn, you don't have to apologize for losing 2 of 3 to Auburn, but the emotions in that series were overwhelming. And yes, we have a Woo Pig Suey that chiming in at all, in fact.
Let's see. Anything else we want to hit? Trace asks about Vanderbilt going with its normal rotation. Let's see. You've only got 3 games to play. So, yeah, I mean, they could go Thompson, Bowker, and TBD.
Do you,
They went Austin Nye last week in the Thursday game with Kentucky. That didn't go very well for Vanderbilt. But he's talented.
Do you think Tim Corbin is looking more as Fennell as a leverage guy, or more of a weekend, give him the ball? I mean, I know hadn't been his sharpest self the last three series and to close the regular season, but either way, he's a valuable piece. But
yeah, I would save him. I would not start him the first two games, and either he can be a game 3 starter, or you can use him, in one of the first two games if you're up against it. Bring him in, let him eat a few innings if you need to change a pace. Especially, and like his issue's been giving up home runs. And again, that's a park that's pretty forgiving. Right. So I would leave that as is. I would not have him plan to start. I would leave it open as an option for a game 3 situation. But Sam says Tennessee wins, it'd be Doyle tomorrow. Now that's interesting.
All right, everybody wanted to see him. They're the scrambled eggs.
What's the trick to eggs here? You told me a little bit about it, but
yeah, make certain as you're scrambling the eggs, you put all the stuff you want to put. Some people put milk, some people do other things. I'm a little more of a traditionalist. I go salt, pepper, and then the one thing I'll occasionally mix in is just a hint of onion powder. Oh. And then I always go cheese because it helps the consistency and the aesthetics. And make certain the pan is white hot. Get the eggs cooking good. Take it off the heat. And Sam, my man, they've got cheese in them. Believe me, I put the cheese in the beginning in the scrambling process. Some people call it a scrambled omelet when I hand it to them. To be honest.
No, you heat the pan and then you take it off to finish the cooking.
I take it off after the eggs have been in there about 30 seconds, where they've got a pretty good sizzle, and then go accordingly.
Okay, but you scorch it to begin with.
Correct.
So what does all that do?
Well, it allows the term I've used I've heard is it allows the eggs to be thoroughly cooked, but still be wet. So they're not like they're certainly not overdone. They're not well done. It's not, I mean, an overcooked egg can be a tough chore in the morning.
Yeah.
But these are well cooked. There's a look at them, still steaming, well cooked, still with flavor and with, I guess, to go back to an earlier conversation that Roger initiated, it may have been Sam, these eggs are perfectly medium, but they still taste nice and juicy.
Yeah. I'm jealous, my man. I've got a couple more hours of work before I get to breakfast. But
yeah, but you get free ice cream.
That is true. That makes up for all of it. And good ice cream at that. All right, parting thoughts, Jay Greason.
I'm most intrigued. Take the pitching matchups in game 2 and game 4 out. I make good gravy too. Although once you learn how to make gravy, you'll no longer eat gravy when you see how nasty it is. But take the pitching matchups of game 2 and game 4 out. Thing that intrigues me most today is the opener and how hard Texas A&M plays for early.
Yeah. I mean, when they did win a game at Georgia last week, that told me they probably weren't done. But I feel like their confidence is just so fragile.
Yes. And
something's off.
Well, and after Missouri, you look up and have have to wonder, we hear this term a whole lot at the back end of disappointing football seasons. How many of these A&M baseball players have made business decisions?
Yeah. Yeah.
But our plan to go in the mid-afternoon again today?
I think so. I think what we'll do is we will go after Alabama, Tennessee.
Well played, Trey. I guess you could call it the early game.
Nice. And then after that, I'll probably watch a little bit of Oklahoma and Georgia, and then I've got to get home for Thursday and Friday. Might come back down for the weekend, but not sure.
Well, tell them about the details, my friend.
Yeah, okay. The membership tier, I think we put that in the chat earlier. $3 a month. We'll do some bonus content for members. People have been enjoying that. It's just a way to support the channel. Well, wow. Is that Bo Jackson?
No, that's Coco.
Oh, I didn't know you had two dogs.
An English bulldog and a French bulldog. I'm all about being continental.
Right. Okay, so I lost my train of thought there. Where were we? Oh, I was telling people what's coming up next. I think the hunger is starting to kick in. Okay, so here's what we have. Membership tier, $3 a month helps us out. I mean, that's half a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So do that. That helps us out. Leave us a thumbs up on the show if you don't mind, and some nice comments. That helps. Where you get your podcasts, we do have audio-only platforms. A lot of this goes to those. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Go leave us some comments and a nice rating there. That helps us get noticed on those platforms.
Oh, my word.
And then
the audio people are going to think I'm a goofball.
Right.
This was the visual medium today.
It was, but we'll see if some of it translates. So, yes, we have that. And then reaction probably around 4 Central to this one. And then we may do another one tonight after Oklahoma and Georgia and Florida and Ole Miss. I should be back in Nashville area by that point. So we'll listen to some games on the radio.
All right, my man, this was fun.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Have a great day. We'll see you again around 4 Central, depending on the end of Alabama, Tennessee. Thanks for watching our baseball content here at Southeastern 16.